Okay, good morning everyone. It's really nice to see you. Today I've been prompted to speak a little bit about my experience with the role of being a facilitator, teacher, inspiration, and the potential side effect of feeling like there's something to take advantage of, or feeling like that I can use others, or maybe subconsciously use others to gain confidence, build up self-esteem. So I'm going to talk about it in a psychological sense today, because yoga in the West, I think, is a lot more about psychology than we know. When we place our bodies into these positions and stimulate the movement of energy, opening up certain channels, there's also going to be an awakening of Shakti and a movement of sexual energy. A lot of us get a sense of vitality and visual sense of what we can be when we trust and open our minds. So a lot of power basically comes from this. In our pursuit for fulfillment, as a facilitator, we get posed with all these opportunities. One of the opportunities will be to offer advice. One of the opportunities will be to offer some kind of comfort, offer some kind of answers, or give someone some sense of, yes, I know, now I know the answer. I would like to mention that my personal practice has been coming from loss, and a lot of my life's purpose seems to stem from a feeling of lacking a sense of knowledge of myself, which came from, I would say, my signature story, you might call it, is being abandoned when I was about 6 months old from my mother, and then she passed away later on. So I've watched myself acknowledge loss and seeking fulfillment through my teaching role, through my practice, through my exploration of psychology and philosophy. So often I've placed myself in this position of humility with my teachers, knowing that I'm of service to their teaching, and I want to serve them in some way. Luckily, my teachers never took advantage of that. I was placed from a very young age in front of my teacher, and I was supported unconditionally with a lot of love. That's not always the case, though. I know from many of your stories that you trust your teachers, or you've been a trusted teacher and the role gets manipulated or abused in some way. So for us as teachers, if you are holding space for others, you're going to be confronted with a moment at some point of whether to turn the attention back in or to look outside for a moment of gratification. It will be cloaked, most likely, in the feeling of this is service, for example. I'm providing her or him with an opportunity to explore themselves more deeply, or they wanted to be closer to me and I didn't solicit it, so I'm just going with the flow. You know, that whole yogic crap. Then we have this responsibility to recognize that we cannot get out of the power role. If I'm a facilitator, it doesn't matter how equal I feel with the student, it doesn't matter how respected the student might be, or vice versa. The role is a power differential, which naturally causes one person to feel higher, one person to feel lower. And that will feed a certain insecurity in someone, and that will mask an insecurity in someone else. So naturally we play roles in our personalities to fill those voids. But the practice of yoga points to being honest and recognizing through svadhyaya, the self-study, what is my projection? And if I put myself in a position to take, even with the highest intention, if I take advantage of a student's trust, then I've basically placed the entire path of yoga into a traumatic event. I've encapsulated their path of service, or the path of liberation, underneath a veil of mistrust. We cannot escape that as teachers. Doesn't matter how right it feels in the moment. It's a very, very important point to look at. And you've probably known someone, or maybe you've had a chance to go through that and experience firsthand the disappointment and the devastation that can occur when we take advantage of those opportunities. So please remember, personal practice, self-study is the key. If you have an insecurity that's being covered up, just be honest, acknowledge it, find compassion, and place some attention there in your meditation. Find that kind benefit of returning home to that call, the inner child, the study of the self. We're all here together doing our best. Good luck. Let me know how it goes. Namaste.